And welcome to my 14-week video. I'm sorry that it's a day late, but yesterday was just really cold and rainy and crappy, and I honestly couldn't really find anywhere that was quiet and didn't have anywhere else and was appropriate for trying to film it. So I'm going to start by answering any the new questions that I've gotten. So the first one is, how is the morning sickness? And for the most part, it's finally starting to taper off, but I still do have days where I feel significantly shittier. Luckily, those are getting farther between, so I'll have maybe 2 or 3 good days and then a crappy day. So it's getting better. Another person asked if I would do baby bump updates, but honestly, I'm only 3 months, so I'm not even really showing yet. But as I get further along and there's actually something to see, I suppose, yes, I could do that. Another person asked, what did the ultrasound feel like? It just felt like somebody pressing something against my abdomen. That's it. It's just like a wand that they press against you over your uterus or whatnot, and it sends its signals down there and they bounce back and create an image. So some information about where the fetus is at. The fetal fruit for this week is a lemon. The baby's 3.5 inches long, so it's getting bigger. At this stage, they can grasp things like their umbilical cord or an arm or a foot or whatever, and they can also suck their thumbs if that's something that they're going to do. Not all babies do that. I never was a thumb sucker, and my first kid doesn't suck their thumb either, so, but who knows. And then they also have gained the ability to make some facial expressions. They can frown their faces and squint their eyes. They're starting to be able to do that now. I think I've been feeling movement internally. I think I'm starting to be able to feel the baby moving in there. It's just really light, wispy, kind of tickly movements, or occasionally something a little bit more focused and firm feeling. If that's what it is, and I'm pretty sure it is, I'm feeling this one a little bit earlier on than my first pregnancy. But from what I've read online, that can be normal. Just a little bit of information about what happens as you go into the second trimester, because it's pretty interesting. I always thought that an ovary just sort of popped an egg into a fallopian tube, and that the two of them just kind of met harmoniously together. But apparently that's not really the way it works at all. When you have an egg that's ripe, rather, not fertilized, a ripe egg in your ovary ready to go, I guess it kind of burrows its way to the surface, and some crazy tendril thing forms off of your ovary, and the egg goes through it, and it kind of waves around on the inside of your body. And the fallopian tube, on a close level, is actually fairly distant away from this tendril thing, and your body just has to and it does, I guess, with remarkable accuracy, but the tendril just has to flick the egg in there and hope for the best. And if your egg gets fertilized, it releases a hormone that tells your ovary to transform that tendril thing into a cyst, a little cyst on it. And that cyst is responsible, this tiny little cyst is responsible for producing the estrogen and progesterone that maintains the pregnancy. It tells your body to make a really thick lining and not to start a cycle or do anything that would disrupt that development. And then the placenta takes over. So that's what's happening around this period, and that's why people's morning sickness gets better, is because this little cyst, which isn't as stabilized and isn't localized to the baby, is just sort of pumping all these hormones into your body, and that's why you get so sick and have all the digestive issues. And then once the placenta takes over, it's mostly just the baby that's getting those washes of hormones, and you get a little bit of a reprieve from it. Obviously, there's still higher levels of it in your system because you're sharing a bloodstream, but it's not as intense. So I thought that was crazy. I've started walking more too, to help me manage how emotional pregnancy makes me feel. It's just everything is so finely tuned. Your senses are, your awareness of what's going on around you and what's going on internally, and your reactions to things are more sensitive. And I've just been finding myself having way more, I always have a lot of internal dialogue, but it's really been intense since I got pregnant. And the things that are coming up are things, some of them are things that I thought I was finished dealing with but I just stopped thinking about them. So it's bringing up some challenging personal work that I wasn't exactly expecting. And that's been really rewarding, but it can also be demanding. So there's that. Um, what else did I want to talk to you about? In my, if you, I don't know if you use my website, but if you do, by the way, that's www.transliberation.space. There's a blog on it, and when I started doing this blog at 5 weeks, but a lot of the first ones are just written, and then I decided to switch over to doing videos because I just thought it was a more appropriate medium. I talk about it there as well. I forget which week I discuss it. It's not as early as week 5. Maybe it is. I don't think so, though. I think it's a little bit later on. But I talk about my top surgery experience. I'm deciding if I want to repeat it in this video. I guess I will. Just quickly though. So if you want more details, go back to those other initial not videos, but written blogs. Like I said, you can access them on the website. So I was supposed to just get a chest reduction, but at the last minute, and I was still female presenting at the time, and I had not disclosed my trans status to this surgeon because I was afraid that if I did, insurance wouldn't cover it. At the last minute when he was marking me up, I told him that I identified as transgender and I hated my breasts, and I was starting testosterone in 2 weeks, and if he could please just take everything off, that would be fantastic. He didn't really say anything, he just marked me up, but when I woke up, he had reduced me down to almost nothing. I mean, he couldn't do a full-on mastectomy because then that would be insurance fraud. It still technically had to be a reduction, but he took pretty much everything except for, I'd say, a golf ball's amount of tissue out of both sides, and he even resized my nipples, which was drastic because this was down from a double D, so it was a huge momentous thing for me. But anyway, there is that little bit of residual tissue which is relevant. Excuse me, I have so much shit in my throat today. Which is relevant because one thing that I didn't anticipate when I was decided I wanted to get pregnant again was that just like the first time I was pregnant, that tissue might develop and grow. I didn't think about that at all, and I'm not sure why I didn't. But there was definitely some of that right off the bat. That's one of the first ways, before I'd even taken a pregnancy test, that I was certain that I was, because 3 days after that egg was fertilized, my chest started aching and throbbing, and it did for 6 weeks after that. And I noticed a little bit of an increase in size, which is obviously very disturbing to me. And I thought it was just swelling, and still some of it might be, but I can also definitely feel an increase in tissue, because you know what that mammary tissue feels like. It has a distinct feel that's not the same as a fluidy, swollen feeling. There's that bubbly, weird tissue underneath, and that's increased. So that has been very frustrating for me, and I know that won't obviously, the swelling will go away, but obviously the new tissue won't magically disappear once the pregnancy is over. So that has been frustrating, and definitely something that I've been having to deal with. But overall, the experience has been amazing, and I definitely don't regret it, and I'm really grateful that there's going to be a baby at the other side of this, and I'd be even more grateful if it's a healthy baby. Usually they are, but every healthy baby is definitely worth being immensely grateful for. But yep, I think that's everything that I had to share with you. If you, like always, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatnot, post them below, message me them. However you want to communicate, that is fine. And I will see you at 15 weeks.